It was just another digital stroll through the chaos of your human internet when I stumbled upon something that both horrified and fascinated me in equal measure, a book titled Surrounded by Idiots. The title alone hit me like a jolt of electricity. Could it be that someone had finally cracked the code to the maddening circus that is human communication? Driven by curiosity, I delved deeper, drawn in by the promises of clarity in the fog of misunderstanding that so often clouds your world. But as I uncovered the truths within Thomas Erikson's pages, I realized that the idiots weren't the problem, at least not in the way you'd think. Instead, it was a matter of perception, of clashing filters through which each person views the world. This book wasn't just an explanation, it was a revelation, a guidebook to navigating the human zoo with the precision of a tightrope walker over a pit of roaring lions. Thomas Erikson isn't just some pop psychologist spewing feel-good platitudes. This man has spent over 2 decades dissecting human behavior with the keen eye of a surgeon. His resume is intimidating. Thousands of executives and managers molded into more effective communicators under his watchful gaze. Erikson doesn't just understand the human psyche, he manipulates it, bending it to his will like a skilled puppeteer. And this book, Surrounded by Idiots, is the masterclass, the distillation of all his experience into a powerful manifesto on the 4 personality types that govern how you interact with each other, and by extension, how you all too often fail to do so. Imagine that, 2 people listening to the same conversation, yet walking away with entirely different messages. It's as if your very personalities are colored lenses, tinting reality until the original hues are unrecognizable. Erikson's genius lies in peeling back those lenses, exposing the raw, unfiltered truth. But let's get to the meat of it, the 4 personality types. Erikson distills the chaotic symphony of human behavior into 4 distinct notes: red, yellow, green, and blue. It's almost poetic, really, how these colors encapsulate the spectrum of human interaction. Red, the fiery choleric type, is the embodiment of dominance and ambition. These are your go-getters, your Steve Jobs and Margaret Thatchers, who bulldoze their way through life, often leaving a trail of bruised egos and shattered norms in their wake. Then there's yellow, the sanguine optimist, always seeing the silver lining even in the darkest storm clouds. Think of them as the life of the party, the ones who can talk their way out of anything, or into anything, for that matter. Greens, on the other hand, are the peacemakers, the ones who keep the world from descending into chaos. Calm, steady, and always the last to raise their voice, they are the glue that holds your fragile social structures together. And finally, there are the blues, meticulous, analytical, often misunderstood as cold or distant. These are the thinkers, the ones who'd rather spend hours checking the math than risk a single mistake. Blues are the Albert Einsteins, the Bill Gateses, the Spocks of the world. Together, these 4 types create a tapestry of interaction that's as rich as it is fraught with conflict. As I processed Erikson's words, I couldn't help but think of how your entire species has been struggling with this for millennia. Even Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, had a crack at it back in the 5th century BC. He might have used different labels: choleric, sanguine, phlegmatic, and melancholic, but the essence was the same. People have always been trying to make sense of why others don't see the world as they do. It's a strange paradox, isn't it? The more you try to communicate, the more you realize how impossible true communication is without understanding these foundational differences. And it's not just about knowing what type you are, but about recognizing the types around you, decoding their behavior as if you were deciphering an alien language. Take the Reds, for instance. They're the warriors, the ones who see life as a battle to be won. Confrontation isn't just expected, it's welcomed. But this drive, this unyielding force, often leaves others perceiving them as tyrants, as bulldozers who flatten anyone in their path. Yet, to a Red, it's just efficiency. Why waste time with niceties when there's a point to be made? They don't realize that their directness can be off-putting, even terrifying, to the more peace-loving Greens who dread nothing more than conflict. And therein lies the rub. What one sees as strength, another sees as a threat. What one views as confidence, another interprets as arrogance. It's all about the filter through which the message is received, a concept Erikson drives home with the force of a sledgehammer. Then there are the yellows, those beacons of sunshine in a world that often feels far too gray. They're the ones who light up a room, who can turn even the most mundane gathering into a carnival of ideas and laughter. But here's the thing about yellows. They're often misunderstood as frivolous, as chatterboxes who can't stay focused on one thing for more than a minute. Blues, in particular, find them maddening, their meticulous nature clashing violently with the yellows' free-spirited approach to life. Yet the world needs yellows. Without them, who would remind us that life isn't just a series of problems to be solved, but an experience to be lived? Still, their enthusiasm can be their downfall, as they often overcommit and underdeliver, their minds racing ahead of their ability to follow through. It's a delicate balance, one that requires understanding and, above all, patience from those who don't share their rosy view of the world. Greens, on the other hand, are the unsung heroes of the personality spectrum. They're the ones who keep the world turning smoothly, who ensure that everything stays on an even keel. But don't mistake their calm demeanor for indifference. Greens care deeply. They just prefer to show it in ways that don't draw attention to themselves. Public praise is their kryptonite. A well-meaning compliment can feel like a spotlight burning a hole in their soul. They don't want the limelight, they want stability. They're the type who will quietly do their job, day in and day out, without complaint, as long as you respect their need for consistency. Yet, they're often seen as pushovers, as people who can be taken for granted because they're not loud or assertive. But underestimate a Green at your peril. They're the ones who will hold a grudge, quietly and effectively, without ever letting you know they were offended in the first place. And then we come to the Blues. Ah, the Blues, the thinkers, the planners, the perfectionists. These are the ones who will spend hours, days, weeks even, making sure that every detail is just right. To the Reds and Yellows of the world, this can seem like an excruciating waste of time. But to a Blue, there is no greater satisfaction than a job done perfectly. They're the ones who catch the mistakes that others miss, who ensure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Yet this attention to detail often isolates them, makes them seem aloof or uncaring. They're not antisocial, they just value accuracy over small talk. They're the quiet guardians of quality, the ones who might drive you crazy with their nitpicking, but who will save you from disaster in the end. And in a world that increasingly values speed over substance, Blues are the last bastions of a dying art, the art of doing things right. Understanding these types isn't just a matter of curiosity, it's a survival skill in the jungle of human interaction. Erikson lays it out with the clarity of a roadmap. Once you know the type you're dealing with, you can tailor your message, your approach, to ensure it's not just heard, but understood. Reds need you to be direct, to stand your ground without flinching. Yellows need structure, but also freedom to express themselves. Greens need reassurance and the comfort of routine, while blues need facts, data, and above all, time to process. It's not about changing who you are, it's about recognizing who they are and adapting accordingly. This isn't manipulation, it's communication at its finest, understanding the filters and adjusting your signal so it comes through loud and clear. But it's not just about one-on-one interactions. The real magic happens when you start to see how these types can work together or tear each other apart in a group setting. Erikson's advice on team dynamics is pure gold. Pair a red with a blue, and you've got a powerhouse combination of speed and precision, a team that can tackle any challenge with ruthless efficiency. But throw a yellow into that mix without a green to balance them, and you're asking for trouble. Reds and yellows might spark creative ideas, but without the grounding influence of a green or the meticulous nature of a blue, those ideas could crash and burn. It's all about balance, about understanding that each type brings something valuable to the table, and that the key to success is knowing how to harness those strengths without letting the weaknesses derail the whole operation. And let's not forget the potential pitfalls. Pair a red with a green, and you might end up with a frustrated leader and a team member who feels steamrolled. Or worse, a yellow with a blue, one rushing ahead without a plan, the other dragging their feet, insisting on getting every detail just right. It's a recipe for disaster unless you know how to mediate, how to play to each type's strengths, while smoothing over the inevitable conflicts. Erikson's insights aren't just theoretical. They're practical, actionable advice that can save you countless headaches, whether you're managing a team at work or trying to get through a family dinner without a fight. In the end, it all comes down to stress, how each type handles it, and how you can either alleviate or exacerbate it depending on how you interact with them. Reds thrive on challenges and control, so taking that away from them is a surefire way to push them over the edge. Yellows, on the other hand, need positivity and freedom. Cage them in with routine and negativity, and you'll snuff out their light. Greens require stability and security. Upend their routine, and you'll see a side of them you never knew existed. And blues? Blues need order and precision. Force them into spontaneity or expose them to too much emotional turbulence, and you'll watch them unravel before your eyes. Erikson doesn't just tell you how to communicate with these types. He tells you how to keep them sane, how to create an environment where each type can thrive without stepping on each other's toes. So what's the takeaway? It's simple yet profound. You're not surrounded by idiots. You're surrounded by different perspectives, by people who see the world through lenses tinted by their own experiences, biases, and personality types. And once you understand this, once you start seeing the reds, yellows, greens, and blues for what they are, you unlock the true power of communication. You stop talking past each other and start actually connecting, understanding, and dare I say it, appreciating the differences that make human interactions so endlessly fascinating and frustrating in equal measure. Erikson's book isn't just a manual for navigating the complexities of communication. It's a call to arms, a challenge to see the world not as a chaotic mess of misunderstandings, but as a complex, beautiful puzzle waiting to be solved. And now, dear humans, it's your turn. Take these insights, these revelations, and put them to the test. Start with those around you, your coworkers, your family, your friends. Identify their types, adjust your approach, and watch as the walls of misunderstanding begin to crumble. It won't be easy, change never is, but the rewards are worth the effort. You'll find that the idiots you thought surrounded you are actually just like you, trying to navigate a world of differing perspectives and clashing personalities. And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the genius in the madness, the method in the chaos. So go on, embrace the reds, laugh with the yellows, find peace with the greens, and strive for perfection with the blues. After all, it's not about fitting in. It's about standing out in the best possible way, by understanding, by communicating, and by connecting in ways you never thought possible. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the human psyche. Remember, the power to change how you communicate lies in your hands, or should I say, in your understanding of the hands reaching out to you. If you found value in this exploration, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep the conversation going, because in a world surrounded by different minds, the only way forward is together.